He's very persistent, he's very focused, got a great sense of humor, gets along well with everybody.
Anybody who spends a little time with Carlos knows he's a genuine person. He cares about those he's working for and working with.
He took time to get to know everybody that worked in this company, even the guy that was making his sandwiches at the cafeteria.
He's not a soft touch, but he's a soft spirit. And he has this ability to execute what he says he'll do.
Somebody who is able, in his way and in a wonderful way, to keep everybody focused on the same goal.
Carlos Gutierrez has lived the American dream. His story reminds us that greatness comes when hard work meets American opportunity. His commitment to give back to society and the world at large will serve as an inspiration for millions of leaders to come. Born the son of a pineapple plantation owner in Havana, Cuba, Carlos would see his family lose everything as the communists took power.
Someone once told me that you're lucky if you know what the defining moment in your life is. There's no question in my mind the defining moment in my life was the Cuban Revolution. I remember Cuba, I remember the house, the school.
1959. It began the first week of the year when Castro's revolution overthrew the Batista regime.
Many people at that time were either executed or given 20-year sentences. I remember the olive green uniforms knocking at the door when they took them away. I do remember my father getting put in jail for 3 days, and when he was let go, we were on a plane the next day.
After his release, the Gutierrez family immediately fled and sought refuge in the United States. Like many U.S. immigrants, his family went where the work was. Living in a hotel in Miami, young Carlos picked up English from a bellhop while his father found work parking cars. Determined to pick up the pieces in life away from Cuba, his father would move the family once again, this time to Mexico City. It was here that Carlos would embark on his journey toward the American dream. For Carlos, his first step towards the top would start at the very bottom.
I heard about this trainee program at Kellogg. I was able to get in, which is not easy because I wasn't a Mexican citizen.
As a sales rep and management trainee, Carlos found himself driving a delivery route around Mexico City.
I literally did have a Volkswagen van, and I sold individual boxes, not cases, to small mom-and-pop stores. It was quite an experience.
15 years later, he was the executive vice president of one of America's iconic companies. At 46, he was the youngest CEO in Kellogg's 100-year history and the only Latino CEO of a Fortune 500 company. His legendary ability to inspire others and effectiveness as a business leader could not be ignored. At a function in Michigan, Carlos would meet President Bush for the first time.
He came to Battle Creek, Michigan to give a speech. And after the speech, he walked out and said hello to some of the local people. And I was in that line. He said, "Carlos, how are you? And are you going to join the team this time?" And I just said, "Well, Mr. President, I haven't been asked, but if I were asked, it would be very hard to say no." And I remember a friend of mine was with me, and I said, I think the president just offered me a job. He said, "Oh, come on." He says, "That's everybody." A week later, I got a phone call from the White House. And before I knew it, I was in the Oval Office talking to the president.
I think it was not only great for him, but especially for the country. I kind of felt like I'd just been hit in the stomach. What are we going to do now? We've got this terrific young man who's going on to much more important things, and thankfully he is.
From heart and soul, deeply interested in the trade agenda that we've been pushing in the first term.
In 2005, he was asked by President George W. Bush to join his cabinet as the U.S. Secretary of Commerce. His whole life would prepare him for this moment. Carlos would bring an international perspective to his department at a time when commerce would become increasingly global, strengthening America's role and transition into a global economy, initiating landmark trade agreements that expanded U.S. exports throughout the world. Closer to home, one of his most enduring achievements would be his role in helping recover from destruction left by one of America's biggest natural disasters.
We are now in storm alert mode here at the Weather Channel, and we are hot on the trail of Hurricane Katrina.
Carlos went to work rebuilding the economy in the Gulf states ravaged by the catastrophe of Hurricane Katrina, working tirelessly to restore vital tourism, small business, and the seafood industry. He created a first-of-its-kind domestic trade mission to the U.S. Gulf states. Within 5 years, New Orleans would be ranked #1 for growth among the top 25 U.S. destinations in hotel performance, and the city would see their largest Mardi Gras in 25 years. Throughout a demanding and international career, Carlos never stopped being a caring and attentive father. He and his wife Adelia raised 3 beautiful and successful children, poised to continue the legacy of the Gutierrez name.
One of the ways I can tell my father is a very smart man is by who he chose as a wife.
They're a great team. Growing up, it was great to have both of them for guidance because they definitely balanced each other.
You know, I've just been so fortunate, and that is, to be totally frank, that's the job my wife did.
My dad has really proven that through hard work and setting your goals high, you can achieve anything. And I think he's a great representation of somebody who lived the American dream.
Have a good time and meet people and work hard, but it was also a feeling that this is my opportunity to give something back to a country that has given me everything.
Carlos's life serves as an example to emerging leaders around the world. His dream has led him to the top of the business world and the heights of government. That dream is the American dream, and his success is measured in the difference he has made in the world. For that, we honor him tonight.